Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building a 15 by 25 portable building. This is going to be an announcer stand for a rodeo. We're doing it for sponsorship. We're going to build them that, and then they're going to give us sponsorships for a while. So thought I'd run through the process a little bit. I'll show you guys some of the layouts and stuff that our computer spits out. So we're going to be building that thing right there. So that's just a picture. I got wall layouts, and there's a roof assembly. The main thing is these wall assemblies here. You know, you get a pretty good visual of what we're going to be building. There's the front with the big openings. Just got the stuff kind of running through there, but anyway, we'll jump right into it. I'm going to be building sections here, wall sections and all that, pre-cutting most of my lumber, and then we're just going to take it up to the site, and then it'll just all go together pretty quick. So yeah, we'll run through it, and we'll start building out walls in here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start laying off my bottom plate here and top plate for my back wall. So it's going to be 25 foot long. I'm going to come in 24/9, so I can put I'm going to put wall girts on the outside, just like I did that other shed. So that'll bring me out my 3 inches. So I'm going to do these at 24/9, get them all marked out, and then I'll start framing it up and do it in 2 sections. And when we take it there, we'll just have 2 pieces we'll put together, and we'll have our wall done. So. So I'm doing these every 16 inches on center, and I'm just doing 2x4 walls, and I'm going to do 2x4 on the outside. I think that's plenty good enough for this building. It's kind of my own way of doing it, I guess. And even if you want to insulate it with a 3.5 and then your 1.5 on the outside, you still got 5-inch cavity basically there. So still insulated about R19, so that's why I do it this way. So using 2x6s, I think that's overkill. Alright, so here too is something to keep in mind when you're doing it like this, where you have your wall girts on the outside, those 1.5. So so the edge of my framing is going to be 1.5 out, like you can see there. So then I still wanted my studs to kind of line up with my my rafters up top, so I just went out 1.5, then I came in here and I put it on 16 center. So it's a little different. So if you hook on the edge, it's not 16 center, it's actually 1.5 out. Something to keep in mind, so thought I'd point that out. And then down here we have, so I just laid them all off. Down here we got a door. So I went ahead and marked out my door. Down here about 1 foot off the end, so I got to cut them off, and then we'll be ready to frame up. Well, we got the first one done here. Got it. I'm just gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna stack the other one on top, build it, my last section, and then we'll do the same with the front wall. Got my door frame out. Went ahead and just put blocks up in here. Everything's pretty standard with that header, everything like that. But yeah, got this all done. And then some of these are a little bit of a bow to them. I'll pull them out when I girt the whole thing when we build it. So we'll be boards running this way and all that. So go ahead and do that, and I'll just keep moving on along. And so this is going to be a single slope pitch, as you saw in that picture. So the gable ones are going to be a little bit tough. I'll figure it out, and I'll try to explain a little bit of the process of how I'm going to think it out. But that's going to require me to think it out a little bit. But that way I can build those, because sometimes we would just put the rafter up, put your plate up, and then you just kind of piece your studs in as a standing wall. But I want to try to get as many of them pre-done ahead of time, so I'm just going to have to make it fit and just lay my rafter right on top of it. So see how it goes. So got all the double top plates on. So this one's going to stop a little bit here, and then that one down there sticks past a little bit. Didn't nail it all the way to the end. Hopefully then that'll fit together. And then I didn't, usually I would keep these back like 3.5 or 5.5 if you got 2x6, so you can overlap the gable, but the gable's going to be at an angle, so it's not really going to work very well. It's not going to be a flat wall. It's going to be an angle wall, so I think there's really no way to do it very well. So I figured I'd just do that, and the rafter will tie all it, because it'll sit on here and on top of the gable wall, so it'll tie everything together. I think. Alright, we went ahead and cut our front wall with the big openings. Went ahead and cut all that stuff. for the most part that I knew. So I got all sills, headers, and all the ones underneath the sill, and all those cut. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly slam them together, and then we'll work on the gable walls. All right, as you can see behind me here, we've gotten I've gotten all the walls done. I got everything. It's pretty extensive with those big openings, but got a big old header in there, and I got my double top plate on. Hopefully these all just kind of piece together when we get there. Made a little loose at one end, laid off my walls for my rafters and stuff, just kind of try to get ahead of everything. So now I just got to do my gable end things that I'd figured out earlier there. I'm going to go ahead and do those. Those will probably be kind of fun, but I'll just go ahead and get them pre-done. That way they'll just fit right in there and they're ready to go, and it'll save us time when we get there. So we'll move on along with it. All right, so I'm going to try to explain this a little bit. So my back wall is 8'1" to the plate, and then in between here I'm going to have 14'2" by the time I come in. 3.5 is 7, plus another 3 on each end for those girts. So I went 212 from inside to inside, so that gave me 28 inches and 3/8 would be 30 from all the way to the outside, 15 foot. Anyway, so that's how I did it. I had to kind of do it from the inside, and then my 212 pitch was going to be right on the inside because that's the exact. So then it's basically my wall is going to come up and to top on the inside and just flat and flat. So that way my wall is exactly at a 212 angle that I build, and this rafter will sit on the outside of the wall, actually on the outside, but the inside it'll notch it out up. And then I'm going to have a 10-inch heel right here, and the same from this flat spot up. And then that way it's exactly 212 apart, same thing. And then I'll just have to cut a flat spot here, and this is my little tail going out. And then same kind of cut up into it a little bit. It'll be stop at 10 inches, and it'll flat spot out. It'll be 2x12. That way I'll run it out about 10 3/4. That way I don't run out and everything works. It just took me a while to figure it out, kind of, because usually I go from outside to outside, and then this being cut in, I usually lower this a little bit so I can have a little thicker heel on the outside, just because it cuts in like on a post frame or something like that. But this was a little different. So yeah, I'm gonna have 10-inch heel from inside and inside at an angle up, coming down 10 inches, and it'll flatten out both ways. And that way it's right at a 212. And so then this wall here will be 10 foot 5 3/8 now, so it's exactly 28 3/8, 2'4" 3/8 taller than this one. So I hope that explains everything and helps. All right, so we got our frame, outside frame of our gable up, and I'll show you guys a little bit how I came up with that. I had to adjust a little bit. I figured it up on my calculator on my top angle. Wanted to cut it long to short point, but we got it laid out here, and we're gonna go ahead and fill in the studs. Each one are gonna grow as we go up. So we're just gonna, the first one took a little time to figure out, but the second one will just be a duplicate, so that'll be pretty easy. So I'm gonna show you guys how I came up with all that. Okay, so here we got this one. As you can tell, we got a little bit of an angle on it. So basically this end is the short point. It's gonna be inset in the walls on the side wall. So then this is gonna come up, and this next top plate is gonna line up. We're just going to come in flat, line up, and then go up an angle. And the same with that, it's going to be over here. We're going to be lined up with the top of the other wall. And it's going to flatten out, going out to this other wall sitting. So this gables will sit inside. So, and we got this one lagged. We got this one lagged to this because the bottom one over there was pretty wavy. So, yeah, we got that all done. Then we got it latched in exactly where we want it. So everything's straight, as you can tell here. That is straight. That wasn't straight. So now we can just fill in and measure each board and fill it in. So that's how we got it figured up. All right, so another explanation I wanted to share is, so this one here is sitting inside the other walls. So I had 14'2", because by the time I do 3.5 on the outside, I'm at 14'9", and then I got my 1.5" boards on outside, for my girts, so that brings me out to 15. So I had 14'2" here, then I was trying to figure out my top one here is at an angle because it'll follow, so it grows, and I was trying to figure out my top board here, because this is, you want straight across here, you want it at 14'2", but this is obviously going to be a little bit longer because it's a 212 pitch. So I just figured it up on my calculator here, and how I did it was I went 14 foot 2-inch run, and then at 212 pitch I'm basically going 28 3/8 up, so I just got close and I went 2 foot 4 inch, which is 28 inches rise, and then I just hit diagonal, which was 14 foot 4 5/16. So I basically just went that from long point on my angle, because that's cut a little at an angle, slight angle, 212, and then long to short, and then I had 14 foot 2 at straight across in here. So it's pretty easy to figure out if you got a calculator, but that's how I figure it out. we got them done. Definitely a little time consuming. Just got, see, I kind of put angle cuts on these, brought them up. So this will now line up right with the inside, you know, it'll come and go up. Same with the top. And just kind of lagged them down, made them straight, and then I just had to fit each one of these ones in the middle in. So I had to put an angle cut on them. Each one grew about 1 5/8 inches. And but once we did one, I just copied, because the other side would be the same, so I just laid it right on top and copied it basically. And yeah, wasn't too bad. I think it'll all fit in there, and everything will fit together when we get there, so it'll go up real quick. So that's the hope. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and frame up some of these small walls that are inside. So basically gonna so I'm basically gonna go ahead and build like this kind of bar on the inside behind those windows, so they can like put all their stuff on, like a big kind of table. So I'm going to build a 2-foot wall section out, then I'm going to build a wall going down that's kind of inset a little bit, so they can get their feet underneath, you know, so the kind of like a tabletop that sticks out, like a bar top. So we'll get these all done, and then that should be about it, other than I'll probably go ahead and pre-cut all my rafters as well, and I'll be ready to go build. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and cut these rafters. I got them all stacked out here, and I know how to pre-cut them because I got my wall built, so I'm just gonna go off of that. Gable wall's already built, and it's just basically kind of gonna sit, you know, right with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I can pre-cut all these, and both gable walls are the same, so make that same, make the middle ones all the same, and then those walls, you know, I'll just pull them in and line them up with my rafters, and I'll straighten one wall, and if all the rafters are the same, the other wall should be straight. It's usually how I do with trusses, so that way it'll go quick and easy. I'm going to go ahead and cut them all, stack them all nice, line them up, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark them off for my purlins right away. That way when we get to the field, we can just throw them up and slam them up, throw our purlins on, and it'll move real fast. So good to go ahead and mark it out, and I'll show you guys a little bit how I mark them out and how I cut them. Alright, so I went ahead and cut this one here. So this is the gable wall here, as you can see, and how I did this is I went 212 from the inside to the inside, so I kind of had to go whatever I was here at a 212, this is kind of my heel heights. Usually I would go out here by framing, you know, I'd make this 10, make that one 10 up there on the outside as well, and that way you'll keep your board, you know, running exactly with your wall. But here I did inside because I wanted to flat spot this, and same with the top, I go up and then I flat spot. So I kind of 212'd it from here to the inside, so this wall sits inside, like my other side wall will sit out here. So I kind of did it a little differently. I hope that all explains it. Basically went from inside to inside, I went 212, and I think I was explaining that earlier too. So this heel height was like 9 7/8 here, and I went the same where I stopped over there on the inside of the wall, 9 7/8, and then just flat spotted it out. And then, so here, yeah, the wall will sit here 3.5 plus 1.5 inches. This is 5 inches, my girt. So this will be outside even when I'm all done, and then my F and J will be up in here, and my soffit will be here. And I just square cut this. Basically my whole soffit will just be, my eave will be tipped in, and my other eave on the front will be tipped the other way. It'll just be like, it won't be straight, but everything's going to run together. So this is how it looks up here. Same thing. This is 9 7/8 at that 212 angle. Same heel height and steer set out here. Here's your flat spot, 5 inches. And then here's your soffit. This is like 10 and, I went 10 and 5/8. I went a little bit extra. It'll be 12 and 8 by the time you put your fascia on. Give me that foot soffit, and that'll be it. So I'll just trace the rest of them and make them all the same and lay them off, and that'll be it. It's that simple. So something I do here is I trace these out, lay them on top. There's my tracer. I'm going to continue to use that with my tracer. And so here are these split ends. I'm trying to cut off these. So I just double checked, made sure the one underneath was good too. I lined them up on the top at both ends. And then I'm just going to take my skill saw and I'm just going to cut this line right on top of the other one, and then it'll basically mark my next one. I wouldn't do much more than 2, but that way it's way faster. You can, less cutting, and you can kind of cut 2 at a time almost, and you just follow that cut to finish it out if it doesn't reach quite all the way through. And I'll just slam them all out like that, 2 at a time, get them all cut. All right, so we got all of them cut, stacked out, marked off, and they're ready to get put on. So I kind of just started out 1.5 inches where my fascia is going to be, then I did 2-foot centers just because I had plenty to play with. I only got like a 1-foot bay up top, so I could really kind of scoot, try to just not go over 2 foot is what I do. And it'll make it easy for me to lay it off and everything. So I'll just show you how it looks a little bit, and should be good. All right, so here we got a nice straight line here and got them marked off every 2 foot there, as you can see. And then, as you can see, they all line up with each other pretty good. Same up here. Pretty straight. So yeah, that's it. We'll go ahead and probably start building this thing outside next. We got these built here. This is the inside. Just basically build a 2x4 on edge. Put these in the middle to help with the strength, and I put this in. This will catch a row of screws from the metal on the outside, just so it has a little bit more to catch. But use the OSB just to keep it square since it's a 4x10 door. Figured that might help a little bit with longevity. and I'll just put the metal right on the back here, and it'll just hinge on the top in and out. So we'll see how it works. Go from there. We are ready to get her built.